From the Washington, D.C. area, all empowered citizens need to know about intelligent use of resources, smart governance, inclusive communities, smart industry, and healthy, thriving urbanization. This is Smart Sustainability, the TV talk about shaping a sustainable future in the digital age with Nicolette DeVidar. Welcome to Smart Sustainability. Last week, we had some discussions on getting rid of single-use plastics. We talked about what that would mean for industry, what that would mean for us as consumers, and how that might impact product development. Today, we want to look at some concepts of how that works in real life. Are refillables the way forward? Our topic tonight. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nicolette DeVidar. You know, when dealing with different concepts that affect our habits and lifestyle, there's always a time of trial and error and adjustments that we all go through as we learn. With refillables, this is no different. While the idea of refill has been around for at least a decade, and some products are using it to a certain extent, here in the US, we're still lagging behind many other nations when it comes to refill concepts. Hygiene standards, convenience, a huge packaging lobby, and of course not to forget the oil lobby present obstacles. In addition, in a country where product marketing often trumps product quality by a multiple, in effect here, the greatest product can fail easily while the crappiest product can be marketed to a success, it's the environment and the people that often pay the price. So how can we become a society that uses more refillables and become more environmentally friendly consumers? What does that look like? And what kind of experience or consumer experience would that be? Well, we've invited Many Drumheller, the founder of Refill Renew, a zero-waste store that just opened their second store in Virginia. Actually, there's one in Staunton and the other one in Charlottesville, to give us an idea of what to expect as consumer and how those changes or how your impact actually can have change on the environment. Also joining us, Richard Garnett, pioneer of Refill Point, an advanced recycling refill system for brands that can decrease plastic by 96%. Thank you so much for both of you to join us tonight. It's great to have you on.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
I'm very interested in the refill store, Mandy. I'm going to start with you because we know there are certain refill concepts out there. You know, for example, washing powders and cleaning products. Sometimes you can get refill packages in stores and so on. But to open a store with nothing but refills, that's quite a different thing. How did you come up with the idea?
Well, you know, there are stores like ours, not around us, but on the West Coast, and then also in Europe, there are a lot of stores that are refill stores. So we kind of looked there for ideas and then just expanded and we've added products. Seems like every week we have new products coming in as the store's popularity has grown.
Now, when we talk about your refill store, how do we understand that? Is that when you talk about new products are coming in, are you talking about new refill containers that people can get? Or is this actually new brands or so that people can take, you know, they can take their own container and go to your store and then refill whatever brand you carry?
Well, both. So we have been expanding the different types of products that we carry, as well as the different brands. So we have more and more options when it comes to shampoos and conditioners, body soap, dish detergent, more brands and varieties all the time, as well as new products that come on the market, because this is really a booming industry.
So when people think about your store, for example, Mandy, do they go there because they know they get a refill, they are looking for a certain product and want to see if they get this as a refill option, or do they go there because they like the refill idea first and then see what kind of brands you carry to see how they can make this work for whatever they need?
I think you're right, the second option, because a lot of people come in not knowing what to expect because it is a whole new way to shop. So they come in and we say they do a recon mission first and see what we offer, and then next time bring their bottles in. It doesn't have to be that way. Some people know what to expect from the get-go, but for the most part, we spend that first visit as educators, sharing with people what you can refill and what options are out there for them.
Yeah, I was going to say, how often on average, I mean, you probably have made some observations over the years. So how often do consumers first go to your store and scout it out? So how many visits does this take on average before they finally say, oh, let's go to the refill store, or, you know, until it kind of sinks in that maybe that's a different shopping experience?
Yeah, I'd say about a third of the people come in not really prepared to buy that day, want to check it out, but then they get really excited about the idea and they get very enthused. We see a lot of people making notes on their phones or making paper and pencil notes of what to bring next time. But we also offer customers bottles that they can get there, sustainable bottles in either glass or aluminum or silicone, that they can fill up while they're there, as well as a bottle library with bottles and jars that folks have donated that we sanitize, and then they can use to fill up while they're there the first time.
That's great. Now, Richard, I want to ask you also, so how did you get into the refill point? I know there's a long way until you actually got to your system, but what made you go into this in the first place?
We were approached by Shell Chemicals to find a different way of bringing liquid detergent directly to consumers in stores, but without going through a brand owner. They saw this as a way of re-establishing their price point, and they saw what we'd done with some other chemicals in the market for different sectors, and simply asked if we could put a system together for them. The first time we did a test, it was with the standard product bottle that we just simply filled and refilled through one of our machines in the store. But we quickly realized that we needed to have a much more sustainable retail container, and began to promote flexible packs as a lower weight, much more sustainable and much more functional packaging to take between the store and the home. And so we now have flexible packaging. We have also rigid packaging options, all of which though are filled directly from our machine, automatically, spill-free, and usable 25-30 times before they need to be put back into our recycling stream.
How long did you work on the developing from sort of beginning to where the concept is today? How long did it take you?
Our first refill machine, our first refill machine went into a Walmart store just north of London in 1997.
That's a long time ago.
It's been quite a journey,
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I have a question, because I noticed actually that both of you are living in the more in the countryside. I know that Mandy, you basically you come from the Shenandoah Valley, and then I know Richard is in Wales. Now, let me ask you something point blank. Do you think that people who have a stronger connection to the country and to nature are more open to refill as a concept in general?
Personally, I think it's across the board. You said earlier, Nicolette, that the US might not be that well advanced in reuse, refill. But in most of your fast food restaurants, you can go refill a soda cup as often as you like. You can get a refill of coffee wherever you buy the coffee. So partly that activity already exists. I think what both Mandy and I would like to see is a shift to move that behavior with some familiar products into areas where maybe it's not so familiar.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that. Mandy, who is your main clientele right now?
Um, our main clientele, I would say, a lot of moms who typically do the shopping anyway, or whoever does the shopping for the household tend to come in. We do have a lot of enthusiastic younger customers who see this as a bright new future, a bright new way of buying products, and I think that's really encouraging.
I think I totally see this because I think the younger people in general, they're more aware of the impact on the environment. They're much more aware in really taking a different shopping experience and things like that. So I think that's all great. But I think for the others, it takes a little bit more of the education, so to speak, to get to that point. Now, let me ask you something else, Mandy. So you carry different brands on that as well, right? So how are you buying then basically merchandise in bulk and then refill? And how do the companies where you that deliver you the merchandise basically, did you have to explain or did you have to sort of get them to buy into a refill concept?
So a lot of our vendors already produced in bulk for one reason or another. There are a few vendors that we have that I've talked into this program. They're very excited about it. They, when I explain what we do and why we want 30 gallons of their product at a time, they're intrigued and they're interested in that. It's a little difficult for some of them though, because they're not used to getting those huge containers. They're not used to sourcing a 30-gallon drum. So there are a few obstacles they have to overcome, but because they're so interested in this is a new buying and selling model, a lot of times they go ahead and do it for us.
What was your biggest selling point, you think?
That we can reach so many new customers of theirs. They are also very excited that they can cut down on plastic. They think that is a noble effort and they're excited to be a part of it. They just have to figure out how to do that.
So the idea, now let me ask you about the philosophy of the store, which is a zero waste store. Tell us a little bit about your philosophy of that store. How did you approach the zero waste? So there's a difference between cutting back on plastics and getting to zero waste.
Yes, so zero waste is a really noble effort, and we use that term. I don't believe anyone can truly be zero waste in this world, but that's the goal. That's what we're shooting for. We're trying to get there and trying to get closer to that all the time. We always tell customers when they come in and get overwhelmed, you don't have to do everything at once. Just pick one room, pick one product, and really master that. Then come back for another, then try and tackle the kitchen and get your kitchen products here. Don't get overwhelmed and give up. Just try a little at a time.
So how much time does it take on average to educate a consumer who comes to your store? Can you give us an estimate? Is it like 5 minutes? Is it like 10 minutes? How is it?
So a lot of customers come in and spend about 15 or 20 minutes talking with us and also filling at the same time. So we'll often have a customer come in and they know one thing that they really want. They have one container and we can pump and fill and talk them through other products that they're curious about at the same time.
Very interesting. Now, Richard, when you did I know you've tested your refill point with several retailers, for example. What were some of the key learning points that you took away from those when they were there? How would consumers react to it?
We had a very strong reaction, both in stores which were typically used by more value-conscious shoppers, not just in the UK, but also in a store in Shanghai, China. And our machine brings a little bit of theatre, a little bit of fun into what is quite often a moderately boring aisle in a supermarket. So we have a screen on the machine, it interacts with the consumer, they're interested to take a look and to try it. And every single time we've run a trial, we have professional marketing companies who keep a score of how much product we sell, what the consumer reaction is, and the headlines are that by the time the machine has been in store for 12 weeks, we generate a use where 75% of all machine operations are refill, not first fill. So, and we measure that and we record every sale. We also have recorded a consistent threefold uplift in sales for the product in the machine compared to sales before we put the machine in or sales when we take the machines out. And most of those additional sales are cannibalized. We've actually won those sales across from other brands in the same store because the story about sustainability and reduction in plastic is a very compelling story. And I'm sure Mandy gets the same response from her customers too.
Yep. Before go ahead.
The whole theatre and the attraction of the machine is, in our particular case, it's really quick. We can fill a quart of laundry detergent or dishwash in 12 seconds, and the customer puts the container in the machine. I think we'll see this a little later. It fills, reseals, and is ready to put in the shopping trolley in 12 seconds.
I do want to show both of we actually have a video for both of your one, the refill point, which is, I think, more for larger retailers and larger brands, and then Mandy's, which is really a go-to store for refillables. So we do want to show the video of both of them so that you at home have an idea of what we're actually talking about.
That'd be great. Thank you.
So that was the refill point, and now we're going to see also Mandy's store. So the refill point is really for consumers when they go to a larger store, a large retailer, and go and refill this up. Let's see what Mandy has in her store and how this works.
We all know that recycling is not what we thought it was going to be. Images of floating islands of plastic have revealed to us that we need a better way. And what could be better than refilling the things we already have? Look around you at all of the plastic bottles in your house. They're sturdy enough to be used hundreds of times, so why not refill them? So you only pay for the product that you actually want. It's a great way to sample new products before you have to commit to a 32-ounce bottle of something that you end up hating. But you still want the products you know and love, like Dawn, OxyClean, Shout, and we have you covered. Others of you might be starting to look for ways to reduce plastic throughout your house with products that are free of sulfates, parabens, artificial colors, and scents. This is where Refill shines. So while you're here, check out our selection of sustainable zero-waste products for your home, as well as our vegan, compostable, sustainable makeup line from Elate. And don't forget to ask the staff what their favorites are. We'll see you soon at Refill.
So I know you have those big containers there. There's like the bulk containers and things like. Do you let the customer do their own refill, or is someone who's actually working there doing the refill?
So for 130-gallon tanks, we use those and fill those just because it takes some getting used to fill those. But for the other tanks and the other drums that we have in the store, some customers like to do it on their own to get the full effect and to feel kind of their self-sufficient. But we also pump with the customers or for the customers if they would like us to.
Now, for the containers, can a customer sort of take their own stuff? So let's say I have a glass bottle, and then you bring the glass bottle, and then I say I'd like this to be filled in. So is that how it works? So you sell the product by the weight?
That's exactly right. So customers will bring their own bottles in, or grab one of ours, and we weigh the bottle first. Then we talk them through all the options they have. We have 30 different shampoos and conditioners. We talk with the customer and figure out which one that they would like, that would work best for their hair or their dish detergent or laundry detergent. And then we fill it again, weigh it at the end, and you only pay for exactly what you're taking home.
And then how do you make sure that it's a clean bottle? How do you make sure that you're not going to get sued for someone who says, you know, they bring a bottle and they make you to refill it, and then let's say someone has a reaction to the product and they think, as it is very often in the United States, the first step they go to is they react to the product, they're going to sue the manufacturer or the retailer. How are you going to handle, how are you handling that?
So we encourage customers to bring in clean and dry containers. And then we also spoke when we first opened with the lawyer about that very same question. And the lawyer explained to us that if it's their bottle and anything that is in it is theirs from their own house, any contamination is theirs. Just like if you went into, like Richard mentioned, a fast food restaurant and filled up your own bottle, your own drink, that's your container and you took that risk.
Okay, let's try again and see if we can play the video of Mandy's store and see if we can show how that store actually looks like. It does not come on. Doesn't seem like it's working. Okay, so we'll try later. They're still working on this. Seems to we have some technical issues, so I'll get back to that. So let's talk a little bit about the experience. I'm really very, very curious, Mandy, to know when you opened your store, what were the first customer experiences, what you heard for feedback? Were you nervous on the day of the opening because it was a fairly, I know it's been done before, but like there was still a risk with it, right? It's not really that ready to go concept where you have a whole store of it, or at least, you know, a few years ago it wasn't. Were you nervous about it?
Of course, I think any small business owner is nervous that first day, but we were also super excited. One big point that I didn't make before in our origin story is that we started this business because our county and city canceled the plastic recycling program in our local municipality, and folks were devastated about that. We didn't have anywhere to recycle our plastic any longer, and so we really opened at an opportune time when people were very motivated to find a new solution and a new way to get their products home. That helped us a tremendous amount. They were already excited about a new way to shop. And so we opened right on the heels of that. And Richard, I'm really sorry that you're not in the stores like we are all the time, because one thing we hear more often than anything else is customers coming in and saying, thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us this opportunity and this new way to buy. So I'm sad you don't get that as often as we do.
So, well, that's very kind of you. We're trying to crack a slightly different nut. We're trying to get into main brand owners who sell their goods mostly through very big retail chains, supermarkets like Walmart and others. And our objective is to bring refill to those main brands and the consumers that shop in supermarkets as fast as possible. It's quite a big hill to climb.
Sure.
So it's like going mainstream, so to speak.
Yeah, we believe we need to make a real difference. We've got to get into those big stores. I love what you're doing, Mandy, but our objective is to convert main brands away from depending on the recycling idea, which actually puts more and more plastic every year into the environment, because once you recycle it or put recycling labels on, it's always somebody else's responsibility, not the consumer. So we want to make and enable consumers to fill and refill as conveniently and as easy as possible as part of their normal everyday shop.
Yeah, but I see this as slightly two different concepts and also attraction points actually to go in, and I think they both are actually complementary. I could see, for example, something that's a refill even in a store like Mandy's for certain products or certain types, you know, and vice versa. I think here's the thing though, what I can envision. I think when you go to a store like refill store like Mandy's, there is a certain excitement, I would think, for consumers to see, oh, what kind of containers do they have, or if you have one, you can even go there with your kids and say, well, let's pick a container at home and then take it to the store and see what we refill. So this whole shopping experience from start to finish, so to speak, is actually an experience, because you think about this, right? You think about what you're going to take, how you're going to fill it in, are the bottles clean, all these things, and then you go to the store, you refill your products, and then you go back home, and then when you're done, you stick it in the dishwasher or clean it out or whatsoever. And then the other part, which is also great, because like with the refill point, for example, if you go to a large grocery store, for example, it's also super enticing because you can go there. I can see that you have fun going on the machine, filling it up, and then you have all the technical stuff that tells you, for example, about your impact on the environment. You know, it's slightly different, just like it's when you go to a larger grocery store, you try to be as efficient as possible, go in and go out and do your stuff. And when you go to a specialty store, it's a different experience because you kind of plan from beginning to end. Did I get this wrong?
That sounds perfect. And the pattern in Europe has been that refill of detergent and home care, personal care products has typically started in health food shops, health food stores, where you're buying maybe loose rice, loose pasta and other products too. And then the shop owner introduces maybe home cleaning, personal care products on a refill basis as well. And that's really good. It starts to build a really good behavior, but it misses many of the people and much of the plastic that we need to stop from going into the environment.
Yeah, but we're not talking, this is not an either or. I didn't bring you both on because it's a competing thing. I want to talk about how we can actually tackle it from so many different angles. And when you look at it, we have enough options nowadays that we actually could cut back on plastics significantly if there were the will to do that. We broadcast from Northern Virginia. Most of us go to Staunton or Charlottesville sometimes, so I would actually invite people to really go and check it out if you're there, so you get an idea of how this works and get into the feel of it. Now, I want to talk about something that I think is really important for both of you, actually, and for both concepts, for both stores, etc. It seems to me that you're both turning consumers, if you want, into protagonists in a way. That is to say that they become not just bystanders, but they really become and take an active approach into doing something good for the environment.
Absolutely.
Is this what comes across when people go and use refill products? Is this what you sometimes hear as a feedback, that they say, we feel so good about that we actually know we can do something really positive about this, so we contribute positively for the environment and not just this negative consumerism, throwaway waste society? Manny, what's
the feedback? Yeah. The feedback we get is that consumers feel really good about doing something for the environment just simply by shopping, and it takes no additional cost, no additional effort. It's just part of the normal shop, and it really does make people feel a lot better that they have less recycling in their recycling bins at the end of every week.
Yeah, Manny.
We hear the same thing. It really makes our customers feel empowered in a situation where you don't have a lot of control over how much trash is being created and consumed and thrown and not being recycled often. You really are empowered to pick exactly what you need and and to reduce your waste, like Richard said.
Now, Mandy, have you noticed that there's actually a trend when you have refillables? Do customers try things out faster and easier than what they would normally do?
They do. Customers really enjoy the fact that if they want to try a new product that might even be a higher end product or a new natural product when they're used to brand names, they can get just a few ounces and try that out before committing to, say, 32 ounces of something they might not like. Or you can take home several options and try them all and see what you like the best.
So you're really in your store, Mandy, in the Refill Renew. It doesn't matter what size the consumer brings because it goes purely by weight.
Exactly.
So it could be a small bottle as well. Have you ever run into bottles, for example, where consumers wanted to refill stuff in and that was not a container that would be conducive for a certain type of product, and you had to educate them and say, you know, this might not work with this pump system or with this with this type of container?
Sure. There are some beauty products or even shampoo bottles that are not really made to refill, and so often. I don't know, with shampoo bottles specifically, you can get a lid off, but you can't put it back on. So we've learned that lesson the hard way to check first. But we have great options there. We have Refill branded aluminum bottles with pumps on them, which is way safer than, say, glass in the shower. And they can be used hundreds or thousands of times. Aluminum is not going anywhere. And it's really a safe product.
Which material right now, Mandy, from your experience, are consumers preferring right now? Is there a trend? Is there like some that say is there like a ranking for it? Let's say more glass, more aluminum, more, what's the current ranking, so to speak?
I think it depends on the product that they're refilling. Our silicone bottles and our aluminum bottles are really popular just because they're much more durable. They last for a long time, and when they do reach the end of life, they have a sustainable way of disposal.
Now, do you in your store also help consumers track their impact on the environment? How would they do that?
We don't have a way for consumers to track their individual usage or bottles that have been saved, but about twice a year we tally up how many bottles that we have saved from going to the landfill, and we were at 39,000 the last time that we counted.
Wow.
That's good, because I know we've had this discussion before. Richard says, what was it, after 10 reuses of the pouch, you save 96%, was it?
We reduced the amount of plastic per litre delivered to the home by 96%.
And that's after 10 refillables, right?
Just 10 uses, yeah.
10 uses.
And each time the pack goes in our machine, because we have a little RFID electronic tag on each container, we know that there's a unique number on there, and our system gives feedback to the consumer about how much plastic they've saved and how much money they've saved by refilling that pack. So it increments up each time, whichever store they go in, it says you've saved this much plastic going to landfill and this much money.
Have you ever had an experience where consumers would say, I'm not partaking in this at all. I think, I'm not going to refill. I think there's too much spill danger or things like that.
We haven't had that. We've had some people who choose not to engage at all because it's just not their thing. But when we do the numbers and the market research, by the time we've got to 12 weeks, and we've done some trials for over 14 months, but by the time we get to 12 weeks, we've built up a very considerable body of consumers in the store who've engaged with that particular brand that comes out of the machine. And it's 3.5 times more than the people that would be using it without the machine there. So it does build a very good consumer behavior towards refill in quite a short space of time. We even have committed brand owners crossing over into different brands simply because they want to get refill.
Yeah. Mandy, are you observing similar things?
We're observing a lot of customers that come in just for, say, laundry detergent. And then by a year later, they're now buying all of their body soap and shampoo and conditioner and multi-purpose cleaner. And it's really exciting to see that when a customer started off with one product and now they're buying a dozen at a time.
So what do you think, Mandy, is the easiest from what you've observed in both of your stores, what consumers would use as refillable? Is that mainly household cleaners, or is that skin and body care? Is that fairly evened out? Is one heavier, easier to basically use as a refill than others in the consumer mind?
Well, laundry detergent seems to be the #1 refillable product. We sell more laundry detergent than anything else, but we have just hundreds and hundreds of options for all around the house.
Yeah. Now, of course, laundry detergent, though, that's also, and household cleaners in general, you don't really have that many hygiene standards than you would have, for example, in skin or in body care. Shampoos, okay, you can put a shampoo in a bottle, but in skin and body care, it's a little different. Do you see consumers sometimes being a little bit more hesitant on that? Does it take more education on the consumer to go and try that and really make the switch?
I don't think it's a matter of education so much as just getting in that habit. I think folks go through so much laundry detergent. You buy a gallon or two at a time and you seem to use it. I know in my household with kids and husband, we go through a load of laundry a day, it seems. So it just seems to be the product that people use the most of at a time.
Now, what would you say were some of your key learning points since you opened the store? Now, Mandy, I think your store in Staunton has been open 2.5 years, you said? And then Charlottesville just opened 2 months ago. What would you say, when you look back, were some of the key learning moments for you about the refill concept, about how we go about, changing consumer behavior? What are some of the things that really would come to your mind where you say, these are things I either didn't know so much, or these are things we really would do slightly differently, or we would put a little bit more focus on today than we did 2 years ago?
I think if I could go back in time and open all over again, I would have put as much emphasis on the zero waste products like compostable Ziploc bags and cling wrap and bamboo brushes. I would have offered those sooner than I did. We've really put the focus on the refillable items, but people were just as interested in those other items around the house that they can use to lower their waste as they are on the refillable items. And I've learned that, and also options. People really want options when it comes to brands and types of products and scents and smells. So having enough variety that people get really what they want.
Oh yeah, I would totally agree. I think that's really a given. I actually used to have a skincare company where we did. You would have a product. You had the alternative ingredients. So it was all healthy ingredients. People could make their own skin and body care, and then also add a scent of their choice in the sizes they wanted. So it's a good concept. So with the bottles and things like that. So I do think it's picking up, definitely. But I still do think we also still have a long way to go. Now, in terms of labeling, Mandy, when you look at marketing, I talked a little bit in the intro about marketing. So marketing plays a big role. Obviously, consumers very often buy products the way they're best marketed. They like the packaging, they like the outer stuff and all these things, which you need very often to make a product sort of stand out. Now, when you go to your refill store, for example, and consumers don't have all the colorful packaging and all the sexy, sleek containers, very often they play a role in marketing or getting a product across the point of sale, so to speak. How how are you handling the labeling with this, and then also sort of the sales, the marketing aspect? Are these all brands that consumers already know? Or are these brands where you sometimes say, hey, this is a really cool product, but because it's a refillable, you don't have the same marketing approach?
So we really believe in transparency, and all of our products' ingredients are listed very clearly when you're buying. So you can look down the product ingredient list and make sure that's exactly what you want. And also we found that our customers are mostly folks that want more natural products with clean ingredients and more of a green product. So we focus on that. That's our number one selling product in all the lines that we carry, are more natural products. But we also have a lot of customers who want to give up plastic and want to find a more sustainable way to get things into their home, but are not ready to give up their name brand products. So we carry products across the board, across the spectrum of natural to more conventional name brand products. So there's something for everybody.
Now, Richard, when you've had your refill point system, and I know we've seen some of this, I think most of it was also household detergents, right?
We've done a lot of laundry detergent too. That seems, as Mandy said, a very popular area. Yeah.
I think that's also because maybe the laundry detergents have started a long time ago. I think like 2 decades ago, really in starting those little refill packs. I remember overseas 2 decades ago or so, they already had like the little refill packs. And I think that was sort of the first entry point in convincing a consumer that they can go the refill route. So maybe that's why people are more accustomed to using the laundry detergents. And you can't really do anything wrong in the container with a laundry detergent.
No, that's true. And laundry detergent comes in a range of formats. You've got solid powder detergent. There's liquids, which you have to pour into the machine. Yeah. And what's also very popular in Europe are the little PVA pods that you put in with the washing. Yeah. And they just dissolve. There's probably a little more flexibility in consumers' perception of how the packaging arrives with the liquid at the home. Which may make them a little more open to the change towards refill. Now, we've tried detergent and fabric softeners. Both work very well together.
Yeah. Now, Richard, with the refill point, for example, with the computer screen there, is there a way for customers to see the ingredients when they use that?
There is, but also the packaging carries the ingredients on the back because the packaging is dedicated to each particular product. So the back label carries all of the statutory information. There's a QR code on the back that the consumers can now scan with a smartphone and read what the product is and what's inside it. And our equipment, the system, the packaging keeps a complete audit trail of the batch number of the liquid that has gone into the pack for the customer. It also records the number of times, the places, the dates when the pack has been filled and refilled on each occasion. So we try and generate sufficient information to give the customer confidence.
Now, Mandy, do customers, can they actually label their products when they bring their own containers? Is there a way of labeling it?
Yes, we put a label on every bottle that we refill with the tear weight, the weight of the bottle before it's filled, and then after, and then the product weight, along with the name of the product that's going inside. So that there's no confusion. Let's talk a little bit about, because now we have holiday season coming up. There is a lot of gift season and wrappings and a lot of stuff. Are there any specials that customers, for example, could look out for holiday season? Mandy, in your case? In terms of specials, I mean, in terms of, would there be a certain draw for consumers to choose maybe something with the refill option, or maybe give even a refill gift card or so versus, just a product voucher? Yes, we have gift cards available. You can buy them online, or you can come into the store and get gift cards. We're running some great sales this week for Black Friday and Small Business Saturday. Some sales on our big 130-gallon tanks and the products inside of those. And then we also have some good sales on other products throughout the Christmas season, like some of our silicone bags and unpaper towels and things like that.
And Richard, for you, for example, for the refill point, would it be possible to have sort of like give gift cards for certain refills on the refill point as well? Would brands be open to that?
Yes, and what we use this again as the screen for is to give offers and promotions to consumers, so we can cross and upsell through the screen. So that if you buy product X in the machine, you might get a discount of 20% off another product from the same brand owner, but it might even be in a completely different aisle. So there are ways of making those promotions, not just around the Christmas holiday period, but also any time during the year, to try and move consumers towards more sustainable shopping, or simply just to get them to try different brands from the same brand owner.
Yeah. Now that's actually a very difficult topic. I do want to talk about this a little bit, and that's actually how can we become as consumers more conscious and environmentally friendly consumers, so to speak, in terms of how to make the switch. And as we said before, it's a little bit habit. It's hard to do and think of refill all the time. How do you get consumers to become more adopted to it and really become more repeat customers, Mandy, on a regular basis? I presume most of your customers are probably repeat customers, right?
Right, they are. People really enjoy coming into the store once they've gotten a taste of it and once they know exactly what to expect. And one of the great benefits of coming to refill is when you go to the grocery store, now there are entire aisles you can skip. It's not like you have to make a whole trip to refill just for a product. You can get reusable napkins and bags and trash bags that are compostable, along with all the personal care products and the cleaning products. So there are 4 aisles right there that you can skip in the grocery store. That's half of the store, essentially, that you can just not go down and come to our store instead and knock out half of your shopping.
Yep.
Yeah, Richard, you got something to add on that one?
No, I think that's absolutely right. That once you have an anchor point in a store for a refill of one product, it naturally brings forward a demand and a desire by consumers for other products to be also in a refill format.
Yeah. Now let's talk a little bit about the cost impact and the cost savings, because very often when you know you have clean products, you have organic products, most consumers, I think you're at home, probably think that as well, think automatically it's going to be more costly. But we said initially when you have a refill concept, you save the packaging. Mandy, do you actually have sort of a number you can give us in terms of percentage of how much a consumer can actually save by refills?
I don't have a number or percentage. A lot of times when we get a new product and we compare that product price with the product that you would buy in the store that would be the same or comparable, and we try very hard to make sure it's the same or lower.
Okay, so it's not, you cannot expect sort of like to pay more, because I would, if I'm a consumer, I would expect when I refill, then I do want to pay a lower price, obviously, because you want to save the packaging, you want to save the marketing, you want to save all the mess that goes out there. So it's like, it would be interesting to kind of know, what the difference is.
Well, we get compared quite often, I mean, at least a time or 2 or 3 a week, to Costco. And I don't think that's a fair comparison.
Oh, I would agree, because you have totally different, volumes and amounts than Costco has.
Right. We have 2 stores, and Costco has, thousands of stores, and they're a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Right.
So comparing our 2 stores with such a small footprint to Costco is really hard. But we did look at the numbers our free and clear laundry detergent compared to Costco's is only off by 2 cents an ounce. And I think that's something to be proud of. And I'm happy with that.
Yeah, and you have, in addition, if you actually think about this, you also have the whole experience that Costco doesn't have. So when a shopper goes there, you have the entire experience that comes with that, for which, I would think, consumers would actually be prepared to pay a little bit. And then, so it's the whole experience, and then, of course, the impact. I think it's really important for a consumer. I know I'm very interested in that, and I could imagine that you at home probably are also. I would be very interested in kind of developing a roadmap for me as a consumer in terms of what my impact actually is on the environment. So I would love to have sort of, when I go shop, I would like to know at the end of the day or at the end of the week, however often you go, that you can say, I have saved so much plastic. I have, this can, sort of trickle down to animals, to plants, to the planet, so to speak, and you've really become a protector of the environment versus a polluter. There's a big difference for me, and I think that would be the primary selling point, particularly today where we're sitting.
Agreed. And I think the best way that you can do that is to look at, if you come into our shop and you get a body wash, a shampoo, conditioner, a multi-purpose cleaner, fabric softener, and laundry detergent, if you get 6 items in your jugs that are, this much plastic, just take a look at that plastic and say, I saved that much from being on this earth for thousands of years.
So if you had to convince a consumer and invite them to your store right now, what would you tell them? Got the platform tonight.
I would say come on in and you can see how much plastic you can save just by refilling what you already own. It's a fun and interesting experience. You get top-notch service. You get someone to walk you through the entire process and help you pick exactly what you want, exactly what you need. You get that one-on-one service and education, and we're here to teach you and help you learn what you can actually do around your own house.
Richard, what about you? What would you say? Why would we need to shift to the refill system or refill points? Why should it be everywhere? Why should it go mainstream?
Because we don't have enough space left in the seas, the oceans, or in landfill to put any more plastic. It already invades every aspect of our environment. What we have to do is pull back from the brink of that complete overload. I've not been to the US for obvious reasons for a couple of years, but I think everybody in all major markets are already very aware of the impact we all have on our environment. Plastic is just one of the biggest, but it's not the only one. And every consumer, irrespective of their wealth, everyone wants to do something and to do it at the least cost and as soon as possible. It's really, really an objective for every consumer out there to do something that is no longer impacting on our environment. So brand owners, retailers should be helping those consumers to take that action with the minimum cost and minimum impact.
But that actually, we need to talk a little bit about that. Because I do think we need to touch on the cost. Very often when we have those environmentally friendly solutions, it doesn't come entirely free. Obviously, you always have to weigh cost. There's still a cost attached to that, whether that's from switching from a current system to a new system, whether this is from switching to a lifestyle, to a different way of how to go about that. So when we talk about cost, can you give us, first of all, Richard, with the refill point, from your experience, how does it affect the price of the refill? Can you give us sort of like just roughly an idea of percentage or something?
Yeah, I can. And we've worked, I won't mention which brand owner, but we've worked very closely with a global brand owner who did a feasibility study and showed that study showed that 50% of the supply chain cost of moving to a refill system is saved directly from those supply chain expenses that they experience now. the cost of making the packaging, the tooling to blow the bottles, the high-speed filling lines that fill the bottles, the cardboard cartons that the bottles have to go in, the additional volume taken up on transport because bottles are in boxes, and the bottles are often quite strange shapes. They don't fit neatly in a rectangle. So 50% of supply chain costs are saved by moving to a refill model. What we're aiming to do is to, and have successfully implemented a couple of times, is to take those savings from the supply chain. They then directly fund the installation of the machines, and the revenue savings pay for the machines to be in store. So from a consumer's point of view, being sustainable costs no more at all. The move into that refill system is cost neutral. And then the overall benefit to everybody is that we have much less plastic circulating in the environment.
Yeah, but when you say, hang on a second, when you say it's cost neutral, for example, that depends. I mean, we say, yes, you can save 50% of the supply chain, but that also depends very much in terms of where the supply chain is coming from and what kind of size the retailer is, does it not? Because you're not going to say, I'm going to offer my machines at 50% whatever your supply chain costs are. Or are you?
No, but there are two sets of costs here. One set of costs is about putting our refill system into stores.
Yeah.
But there's a secondary cost, which is what's the cost of changing from a typical disposal model. So the investment in the production of packaging and the high-speed filling lines that fill single-use bottles, that also has to be taken account of. So that there is a cost of change, as well as of moving away from the old system, as well as moving into the new system. So what we've done is we've put a business model together which gives a brand owner the opportunity to lease our machines, to put them into stores at scale quickly, and it helps them transition from the old investment of lots of packaging manufacture and filling into the new model. And it's essential to have that transition as smooth as possible. But we can deliver the product through refill at the same cost and potentially lower into the hands of the consumer.
So so I think that's the common consensus. So at least it's no higher cost and it's actually more lower. That's the same what Mandy said with her store as well. We're actually out of time, so I would like to give both of you some closing words for tonight. Mandy, what would you like our viewers to take from tonight's show?
Well, I think try something new. Try Richard's machines. Try coming into refill. Find a new interesting product that you're not using now. Switch your plastic sponges for something that's compostable. Make a quick, easy switch and try it out.
That sounds great. Richard, what about you?
I would agree. As consumers, your viewers, tell your store, whatever the size the store is, tell your store that you want refillable packaging.
All right.
Until you tell them, they won't know.
Sounds awesome. Thank you so much, both of you, for coming on. Thank you so much for watching. And actually, I do want to mention, we are conducting a poll on Twitter in terms of how many people would be ready to switch to refillables. So if you actually are interested, I would love to invite you to go there. You can find it on my Twitter handle, @NDeVidar, and go and partake in the poll. We'd love to hear your take on that. And other than that, have a wonderful Thanksgiving and holiday weekend, and we'll see you next Sunday. Have a good night.